How do you gain exposure to meme coins without directly investing in meme coins? That is a question that I've been asking myself for a while now. And because there's no doubt that there is so much attention on the meme coin space. And for those of you that watch my content, most of you will be aware that I'm not a massive fan of meme coins. I don't think they represent the best aspects of what crypto and the blockchain and Web3 have to offer. But there is no denying the attention that they are capturing right now. Therefore, I've been looking for ways to gain exposure to this niche without actually investing in individual meme coins. And there is a project in the Solana ecosystem that might provide an answer if everything stacks up behind the scenes, of course. So in today's video, I want to take a look at an altcoin protocol called Drift. If at the end of the video you've enjoyed the analysis on Drift, hitting the like button down below on the video would mean so much. It really helps my channel out. And I would love to have you as a subscriber on the channel. And if you don't want to miss out on future altcoin deep dives such as this video, hit the bell notification icon down below too. And finally, the crypto market is really picking up and heating up right now. We're seeing Bitcoin above $90,000 for the first time ever. And that means the window of opportunity to build an altcoin shortlist is closing. That is why for the last 12 months, I've been putting out my 80/20 crypto newsletter so that over time we can get familiar with the projects that we want to invest in and also the projects that we want to avoid, which is equally as important. Alongside that, I also break down the key signals each and every week that we've seen in the markets that are driving the markets. And if all of that sounds of interest to you, I've left a link to the newsletter down in the description below. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's take a look at Drift and the opportunity it could hold in the meme coin niche. So Drift is a decentralized perpetuals futures trading platform built on Solana. Now, what the heck does that mean? So rather than trading cryptocurrencies directly, that would be in the spot markets, perpetual contracts are a synthetic way for traders to bet on the price of different tokens instead. So trading with these contracts allows, usually, these are the two main advantages for trading perpetual contracts. The first is that it allows traders to bet on whether the price of a market is going to increase or decrease. So if you think it's going to increase, you open long futures, perpetual futures contracts. And if you think it's going to decrease, you open short perpetuals futures contracts. And number two, it allows traders to bet using leverage. So you can amplify the capital that you have available to trade with. Now, usually having a perp DEX, a perpetuals DEX on-chain is a bit of a mess because hosting the infrastructure needed for something like this on a blockchain leads to slow order fills, high spreads, low liquidity, but Drift has managed to develop a way around all of that. And instantly on their home screen, we can see that this is heavily focused on the meme coin niche. Ape into your favorite memes with leverage. And we have all of the memes on the homepage. So we're not even in the app, but this is what they are selling. But before diving into Drift's products, it's important to briefly look at how Drift manages to offer such an efficient and high volume perp DEX. It's an important thing to try and understand. And it does this using three liquidity mechanisms. The first, which we can see on here, is the just-in-time liquidity auction. The second is, I'm going to scroll down, but it is the limit order book liquidity option. And then we have constant liquidity, which is an AMM liquidity, an automated market maker. So the process, as I understand it, goes like this. For every trade that's opened on Drift, it's first placed through this just-in-time liquidity process, which is thought of as a short-term auction that allows market makers to bid to fill an order first. So it gives market makers the opportunity to take the other side of trades. If that doesn't happen, the trade is then bounced onto the constant liquidity, so this automated market maker, same process that we would see with likes of Uniswap exchange. And if that doesn't happen, the trade is then passed to the decentralized limit order book. I actually think the trade is bounced between these last two options. So it either goes through the automated market maker or it goes through this decentralized order book liquidity maker. Four key products then use this liquidity makeup. And the first of those are Drift's spot markets. So although Drift is known as this perpetual futures DEX, Drift does offer the opportunity for traders to trade the spot markets, and they can do this with up to 5x leverage. Then we have, waiting in the wings, we have the perpetuals markets. These are the perpetuals contracts that allow for people to go long and short the market and also to trade with leverage again, but increased leverage. I think leverage for perps contracts on Drift can extend up to 20x, I believe. Yes, we can see 20x. We can also see 30, 50x in some cases. So some markets must have, high leverage up to 50x, which is a lot. As mentioned, we've already said these derivatives track the price of an underlying asset. So you're not buying or trading the underlying asset directly. You are buying the contracts that represent the underlying value of that asset. Thirdly, there is the option to lend and borrow through Drift as well. So if you want to borrow assets, you can do by depositing cryptocurrencies as collateral. You can then borrow other assets to use elsewhere. Likewise, you can lend your assets and they can be used by other people wishing to borrow. And in return for that, you can earn a yield. Drift also offers a selection of vaults where you can maximize your yields with different trading strategies from leading teams across Solana. Finally, it's also worth mentioning that most recently, ahead of the US presidential election, Drift introduced this prediction market platform, which it is calling Bet. And this allows users to bet on the outcome of future events. So very, very similar to what we've seen with Polymarket on the Polygon layer 2, which has was very, very popular in the lead up to the US presidential elections. Drift is trying to do something similar with their Bet platform. Now, the Drift protocol was founded back in 2021 and first launched in August of that year. It's therefore one of the oldest projects in the Solana ecosystem. The protocol completed an early seed round in 2021, which we can see here, October the 26th, 2021, and it raised 3.8 million. We've then since seen a Series A funding round earlier this year, which raised $23.5 million. The protocol is now in its second iteration. So the second iteration, we're in Drift version 2, and that was launched in late 2023. And then despite several years in development, we have only just recently seen the launch of the Drift native token. So Drift tokens were only created and airdropped to early users of Drift in May of this year. So Drift, DRIFT, is the native token of the Drift protocol and is primarily used to ensure the protocol remains decentralized. So in other words, it's used for governance, as we can see here. It is the native governance token. So Drift holders can vote on all development decisions for the protocol. And in addition to that, staking Drift gives you access to effectively loyalty rewards. And these come in the form of something called Fuel. So Fuel is part of Drift's loyalty program. And in Drift's documentation, which we have here, it says that in the future, Fuel will be able to be redeemed for Drift. So if you scroll right down to the bottom, here it says, in the future, you'll be able to redeem your Fuel for Drift. The Drift DAO passed a proposal for the initial seeding of the Drift Fuel Fund. The redemption mechanism will be determined and announced at a later date. So this isn't yet in play, but it is coming for the Drift platform. Now, onto Drift's tokenomics. The current market cap of DRIFT currently stands at $348 million. Out of a total supply of 1 billion Drift tokens, 257 Drift are currently in circulation. So we have here a relatively small cap altcoin project that has about just over a quarter of tokens in circulation. And then briefly going back to the documentation that was launched for the Drift token, we can see here Drift's token allocation. So 43% of tokens were awarded to the ecosystem and trading rewards as well. 25% were awarded to the protocol's development, 22% were awarded to strategic partners, and 10% were kept for airdrops. So that was the breakdown of the Drift token allocation. And now we come to the moment in the video where we need to weigh up both the upsides and the risks for the Drift protocol and the Drift native token. What are the things that could influence the demand and increase the demand for potentially the Drift protocol and therefore demand for the Drift token? But equally, what are the risks of the Drift protocol? What could cause the Drift protocol to fail? Or what are the things that could overinflate supply of the Drift token and therefore cause the Drift token to fall in value? These are the things that we need to consider as crypto investors. And starting with the upsides, one of the obvious upsides for me at least is that Drift is the leading perp dex in the Solana ecosystem. And there are a couple of elements here. So for those who want to use leverage to trade Solana ecosystem tokens, which is a lot of meme coins right now. So, this is a heavy push for meme coin trading. And this protocol sits at the crosshairs, not only in one of the hottest ecosystems right now, Solana, but also focusing on one of the hottest niches, which is meme coins. So Drift is where most are heading to do this trading. So if momentum stays with the Solana ecosystem and also with meme coins, there could be an increased demand to use the Drift protocol, and therefore by association an increased demand for the Drift token. Then secondly, while new users are coming into the Drift ecosystem, according to June Analytics and this chart here, the majority of trading is dominated by existing users, so old users, which suggests that the platform is really sticky. It attracts new users, but then they stick around and continue using the platform. So people who trade tend to come back to make more trades rather than go elsewhere, which is a really positive sign for a platform. You want to see that. You don't want to see people using the platform once and then diving off to use alternatives. Then thirdly, we need to talk about the TVL, which has been on the climb ever since October of last year. It has exploded from lows of approximately 20 million. We are now at a height of $730 million locked in the protocol, which has driven the demand for the token higher and higher. In terms of total value locked, it has climbed the ranks and is currently ranked number 7 in Solana's ecosystem. And as a result of all this, the price of Drift most recently has exploded. So things have been building up. Things have been pretty stationary since the Drift token was launched earlier this year in May. Price hasn't really changed too much. And then most recently, we've had the US presidential election, which was a favorable outcome for the crypto markets. We've seen Bitcoin hit new all-time highs. And as a result, Drift has also broken out of its prior trading range. It traded from 46 cents up to a new all-time high of just under $2. And all of this suggests that there is intense buying appetite for this coin, which is good to see. But now we also need to take into account the risks. What are the things that could drive the value of the Drift token lower? And the first risk for me on Drift is inflation. So 1 year from now, there is going to be more Drift in circulating supply than there is right now. Interestingly, there's a bit of a discrepancy between what we can see here on token unlocks and coin market cap in terms of the current circulating supply. They have it as 171 million. Coin market cap had it at 250 million. But regardless, there is a stepped increase of Drift tokens every single month. Now, they're not significant, and having them as linear unlocks like this on a monthly basis is better than having a cliff unlock. And the other thing to take into account here is that when everything is in up-only mode, inflation such as this isn't too much of an issue. Where it becomes a problem is when we hit the next bear market, and the next bear market will come eventually. This, therefore, isn't a token that would want to be holding into that next bear market. You would want to have gotten rid of this by then and taken profits out. Now, another risk for me is that at the moment, Drift is only required for governance of the Drift protocol and nothing else. So this could stunt its demand in the future if extra utility isn't added to this token. Finally, like all DeFi applications that run on smart contracts, there is an inherent risk that smart contracts can go wrong. What happens if a smart contract malfunctions or a smart contract is hacked? While the platform does have this user-supported insurance fund, a catastrophic smart contract malfunction could still put an instant end to a protocol such as Drift, and therefore, by association, the Drift token. And that is everything that I have on the Drift protocol. So is this a project that offers good potential opportunity to gain exposure to the meme coin industry without gaining access to meme coins directly? Well, just from looking at their homepage alone, you can see that this is targeting the meme coin industry because it's based on Solana, because Solana is one of the hottest ecosystems for the creation of meme coins. Drift is picking up a lot of market share from that activity. But does that mean the Drift token holds good investment potential in the future, especially as it has already spiked higher most recently? I share my own insights on tokens like this inside my 80/20 newsletter. So if that is of interest to you, if you want my own personal opinions on altcoins such as this, the newsletter is the place to head to. And as I mentioned at the start of the video, a link to that will be in the description below. But I'd also be interested in hearing your own thoughts on this. Do you think the meme coin niche has legs? Do you think it will be around in the next 6 to 12 months throughout this bull market? Or do you think we've seen the best of the meme coin niche and that is now behind us, and that utility tokens and coins are going to start taking and capturing market share? All that's left for me to say is thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you've taken value out of it and it's given you some thinking points around the meme coin industry and how these meme coin proxy plays might work. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.